Welcome into Chicago Bears Now. I got 8 players to watch at this year's training camp. But first, we've got new face coverings available. And guess what? The coronavirus isn't going away. So if yours is getting old or if you want to upgrade, why not get one of these new ones we got available at chatsports.com/Bears masks. The new solo ones, a lot better look. Some new 3-packs available as well. And yes, you can still get the Khalil Mack Player 2-pack at chatsports.com/Bears masks. That link will be in the comments and in the description. Let's kick off today's video with Cole Kmet, the rookie tight end. Again, 8 players to watch at training camp this year for the Chicago Bears. Rookies are always, some of the players we're all intrigued by, right? We haven't seen them play in the NFL before. We want to see how they can perform. And with no preseason games, training camp is going to be where we keep an eye on these guys. Can he challenge Jimmy Graham for that number 1 tight end spot? The Bears were high on him. They've spoken highly of him all offseason, and they spent their first pick on him early in the second round. Now, pretty good numbers at Notre Dame last year, 12 yards a snag, 515 yards, and 6 touchdowns. Most everyone you talk to, though, says his best football is ahead of him. Remember, he was a 2-sport athlete in college, so didn't really give his full attention to football until this past season when he had a breakout year for the Fighting Irish. Now, Chicago has a lot of tight ends on the roster, but Jimmy Graham and Cole Kmet, that's your 1-2 punch with Demetrius Harris, I think, comfortably penciled in as your number 3 tight end. But could Kmet unseat Jimmy Graham? That's what I want to know. Who do you guys think will have more yards in 2020? Type JG for Jimmy Graham, type CK for Cole Kmet. Why don't you let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Next up here is Cordarrelle Patterson, a player that you Bears fans love and think he can be a superstar. I'm definitely not there on him, but I think he could have a bigger role this year. For whatever reason, the Bears could not figure out how to utilize Patterson in 2019. Was pretty good with the Patriots in 2018, played some running back, played some receiver. Did a little bit of both last year in Chicago, but wasn't really that effective or utilized for the Bears last year. I wonder if this new Bears offensive staff under Matt Nagy will find more ways to get him the football. You see the total yardage, less than 200 offensively, just the 1 touchdown. That's not a lot of production there, and it's why I've wondered a couple of times if he could get cut to save some money. I don't think that's going to happen, but I just want to know what the Bears' plan for him is. Is he a running back? Is he a receiver? Is he a starter? Obviously, he's got special teams value. I just want to see this guy get some touches. Can he get 8 to 10 touches a game? That would be a good usage of Cordarrelle Patterson. I want to see what he does at training camp. Matt Nagy already singled him out along with Akiem Hicks, coming into camp in really, really good shape. So I'll make this the pinned comment. You guys love you some Cordarrelle Patterson. Will he make an impact this year? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Debate down in the comment section. Pinned comment, it's at the very top down there. Go ahead, type Y for yes or N for no. David Montgomery, kind of a more obvious one. A lot of hype around this kid entering year 2 in the NFL. Played pretty well as a rookie last year, despite being less than 4 yards per carry. The offensive line was brutal. He was still in the top 5 among broken tackles among NFL running backs last year. I think if the offensive line is better, he will have a breakout season. He'll be over 1,000 yards, maybe even approach 10 touchdowns in 2020. And I hope the Bears utilize him in the passing game more because he was excellent in that role at Iowa State. Now, obviously, Tariq Cohen is a player that is still going to have an impact on this offense, and I'm not saying Montgomery should take a lot of touches away from him, but David Montgomery needs to prove that he is the workhorse running back at training camp, and I think he will do that. Where do Artavis Pierce and Ryan Nall fit in? We'll see what happens at training camp, but I'm excited for the year 2 player out of Iowa State, David Montgomery, to take that next step. Second year as an NFL running back, that's when you see a lot of players really kind of come into their own, and I think that could be the case for Montgomery. Who will have the bigger impact this season? You think it'll be David Montgomery? If so, type DM. Slide in the DMs, if you will. If you think it'll be Tariq Cohen, type TC. Cast your votes in the comment section. Lots of questions for you guys. You can comment more than once. Let me know, DM or TC. I mentioned today's show, our deal of the day. We got new face coverings, including this one that'll cover your neck. Guys, I don't know if you're aware, it gets cold as hell in Chicago in the winter. This might be a good face covering for you because we're still going to have to be wearing those this winter more likely than not. Like I mentioned, lots of new ones. This black solo face covering with the Bears logo is a good look. How about this USA-themed 3-pack? I really like this one. They're all found at chatsports.com/bearsmasks. You got this new look as well. Tons of different combinations, solo packs, duo packs, 3-packs. We still got the 4-packs for $29.99. We showed you the Khalil Mack 2-pack one available as well. One more time, it's chatsports.com/bearsmasks. Check that link in the comments and in the description. Next up on our Chicago Bears players to watch at training camp, the quarterback position, Mitchell Trubisky and, yes, Nick Foles as well. We're going to tie them together here because the quarterback competition remains the biggest thing we're watching for, right? Like, who's going to be the starter? That's what everyone wants to know. Trubisky enters this year at a crossroads. We all know that. They declined his fifth-year option, so this is kind of it. This is his last chance to prove that he can be the guy, the franchise quarterback, long-term in Chicago. So Trubisky's got a lot to prove at training camp. So does Nick Foles, a career journeyman who's trying to prove he can be a starter for an NFL franchise. You know, he's played his best ball when he's been a backup and been brought in due to injuries, a la Carson Wentz in Philadelphia. He's trying to beat out Mitchell Trubisky, who has an early edge on him because there wasn't much of an off season. Now, whoever the starter is, you know, consistency is the key because that has not been the name of the game for either of these two guys in their careers, especially last year. Obviously with Trubisky, then Foles had the injury, and even when he came back, didn't play that well. Gardner Minshew was a better option in Jacksonville. So I think this Bears coaching staff is going to be looking at attention to details in training camp. That'll determine who the starter is. Now, I ask you guys this a lot in a lot of different varieties. I'm still continuing to gather the data from Bears fans. Who will be the Week 1 starter? Type T for Mitchell Trubisky, type F for Nick Foles. Go ahead and comment down below. And while you're pondering that, man, do I go T, do I go F? If you can't decide yet, hit that subscribe button because if you're watching this video, you probably love the Chicago Bears. We're doing videos basically every day at this point. The link is down below, youtube.com/bearsnow, but just hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications by hitting the notification bell. That way you never miss a video. Let's keep this channel growing as we get into the 2020 season. All right, offensive players down. Let's take a look at 3 defensive players. Akiem Hicks, another player that Matt Nagy said came into camp in great shape, which is a great sign coming off injury. Only played in the 5 games last year, and he was awesome before 2019. But the few games he did play last year didn't look the same. You know, he's over the age of 30 now. Are we seeing a decline here, or was it just an injury-riddled season last year? That's what I want to know. I'm sure that's what you guys want to know as well. His role is even bigger now with Eddie Goldman out. He needs to be an anchor on this Bears defensive line. I hope he can get back to pre-2019 form when he was, you know, consistently a 7 or 8 sack guy for 3 straight seasons. Obviously, John Jenkins is, you know, okay at nose tackle. He's no Eddie Goldman, though. So Akiem Hicks has even that much more on his shoulders this season. I hope he can be healthy. Hope he can get back to pre-2019 form for the 2020 season. Got a couple of players left here. Tashaun Gipson, the newly acquired safety from earlier this offseason, came in on a 1-year deal. You know, everybody assumes, and so do I to a certain extent, that he's your starter next to Eddie Jackson, but Deon Bush will have an opportunity. The Bears coaching staff likes him. He's more of a box safety than Tashaun Gipson is. We know Eddie Jackson's the free safety. Is he probably your Ha-Ha Clinton-Dix replacement? Yes, I think so, and I think this can be a dynamic duo with him and Eddie Jackson, but he's going to have to come in here and earn the job. They're not just going to give it to him. Now, he's a ball hawk back there. You could have 2 center fielder types in that secondary at the safety position. Now, it'll limit you know, the safety's impacts against the run game a little bit, perhaps, where maybe a Deon Bush will come in on more running downs, you know, 3rd and shorts and things like that. We'll have to see how this defensive staff mixes and matches, but I'm excited to see what Gipson brings to the table. I hope he has a really good training camp. And then, of course, Jaylon Johnson, right, the rookie out of Utah, the cornerback. When they drafted him, I was like, this is your number 2 corner, opposite of Kyle Fuller, but then the entire offseason got wiped out due to the coronavirus, so training camp's really all he has to prove that he can be that Week 1 starter at CB2. I hope he earns the job, but the Bears might, play it safe, especially if it takes him some time to adjust in training camp. Still recovering a bit from that shoulder injury he had at Utah, so he hadn't been able to do everything. I'm, keeping an eye on this situation, keeping an eye on Jaylon Johnson to see if he is going to be that CB2. That's how I have him penciled in, but it's very possible Artie Burns, Kevin Tolliver, one of these other guys ends up being your week 1 starter at cornerback 2 simply because Jaylon Johnson's not ready. He'll get there eventually. I just wonder, how big of a training camp does he need to get there by week 1? He's certainly a player worth watching at training camp at Halas Hall. Who will lead the Bears in interceptions this year? We just talked about Tashaun Gipson and Jaylon Johnson. Eddie Jackson, Kyle Fuller, those are some couple of other names. I think it would be one of those 4 or 5 players. Let me know who's going to lead Chicago in picks this season. We'll do a quick little recap here before we sign off on Chicago Bears. Now, these 8 players are worth watching at training camp. Cole Kmet, rookie tight end. How does he perform? Cordarrelle Patterson, do the Bears find a role for him in this offense? David Montgomery, year 2, does he break out? Mitchell Trubisky, Nick Foles. Enough said, right? Quarterback competition, and we're all watching that. And then on the defensive side of the football, Akiem Hicks coming back from injury. Can he get back to that, borderline all-pro level? Tashaun Gipson, newly found safety to replace HaHa Clinton-Dix. And then the rookie corner out of Utah, Jaylon Johnson. Can he get fully healthy? And can he start at cornerback number 2? These are 8 guys I'm watching at training camp. I'm signing off, and we'll see you next time.